Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. We, of course, have pre-recorded our conversation, but we are not on Zoom. We are in person, more than 6 feet apart from each other. We are at Lord Fairfax Community College because as you're listening to this on Thursday, I got my vaccine yesterday morning. Second dose Moderna. Just got it less than 15 minutes ago, actually, as I'm recording this. And I'm excited because Whitney Miller is here with me. She is the Director of Facility Planning and Auxiliary Services at Lord Fairfax Community College. And Whitney, my understanding is you kind of are the logistics queen behind pulling off this partnership with Rotz Pharmacy and everything that goes into the shot that I just got in my arm.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, Rotz Pharmacy had reached out to the college. They had a need for a larger facility to host their clinics. They could only fit so many people at the pharmacy, so they reached out to the college. We knew that we had the capacity. Most of our folks are working from home. Our students are online, so we have, especially on Fridays, a very small population of folks here, and we just knew that we had the capacity and felt confident that our employees and students would be willing to assist with the clinics.
When was the first clinic?
I was trying to think, it was early in March because I got my first dose at the first clinic, and then my second dose was April 2nd. So I was able to get in early by volunteering, which is how, we got some of our early volunteers. So I think March 5th was our first clinic here at the campus. Do
you have any idea how many shots you've put in arms since then?
I'm going to say roughly 10,000.
Wow.
I think we're going to hit 10,000 today. So we started with first dose clinics only, and then when we got to the 28 days, 4 weeks later, we were running first and second dose clinics. So like today's a second dose clinic, 9 to 2, but we were doing roughly 9 to 6:30 when we were doing second dose. So those days we were doing 1,200, 1,300 people.
So you get this phone call and says, hey, we'd really like to partner with you guys. What is your next step? I mean, do you have to reach out to the head of the nursing program? What do you do next?
Right. So we had a meeting here on campus one evening with Jason Rotz, and we had our dean of the nursing program, director of the nursing program, vice president, chief of police, our interim chief of police at the time. And then we also had the director of our foundation here because her mother had just received her vaccine at Shenandoah University, and so she had just the day before walked through their process, and so we were able to incorporate, because we'd only heard good things about Shenandoah's process, so we were able to sort of get input from her about what worked well there that we could incorporate here.
And then it's a matter of gathering students, I would guess, would be the next thing.
Yes, the next step is reaching out to the students, which this has been, I think, the nursing students have been a blessing that we've been able to do the clinic, but it's also been a blessing for them because they need those practical hours, and during COVID, those were very difficult to get. So they're able to get their hours. We're able to have volunteers to serve the community. So Director of Nursing and Mary Katz, who's our nursing instructor, she gathered up her students. I reached out to employees. And so we have nursing students checking people in, looking over their forms and giving the vaccines. And then we have employees sort of making sure that people are headed in the right direction. So check in, tell us when your appointment time is. Lord Fairfax employee will tell you, okay, you can go in now. And then when it's time to check out, they say, okay, your 15 minutes is up, you can head on out.
Yeah, that was my problem last time. I was chatting with someone earlier and said I tried to sneak out before my 15 minutes was up for my first dose and they wouldn't let me. But she knew who I was. She knew about the radio show, so she let me she goes, well, by the time you get to your car and get out of here, you've only got 2 minutes left. I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to watch you.
Right.
And I was wearing orange, of course, at the time. She goes, so if you drop in the parking lot, I'm going to see you.
We'll find you. We'll find you. Yes. And I will say, we'll have to give a shout out to the local fire and rescue. They've been here every week as well. So Frederick County, Middletown, they've come every Friday. Today's Wednesday, just to give us the extra support. If somebody did need assistance, then we've had those folks here as well.
So how much longer is this the last one? I mean, we're recording this on a Wednesday. People are listening on Thursday. Are you done now as people are hearing this?
Yes, this is the last one. As we try to reach herd immunity, we've had fewer and fewer people signing up. Our hope is that's because they're able to get it elsewhere. So right now, Rotz Pharmacy has the ability to take people with first doses at the pharmacy. If at some point we do need a booster, then we may look at coming back so we can get the most people. And then we're hoping to have a clinic specifically for our students and employees in July, so that if, as we get ready to come back to campus full force, folks need that vaccine, they can just pop in here on a Friday and get it. That's our hope.
Now, what role do you play in that process when school comes back in the fall? And will it look normal? Will everybody be coming back to campus? Will there still be some sort of hybrid versions?
That's $1 million question. I think I am not on the instruction side of campus. So what my role is to prepare the facilities for folks coming back. So right now we're looking at, if we are distancing, how many students can we fit in a classroom? Do we put furniture back out? Do we space it out? In a lounge like what we're sitting in now, I would separate the tables, make sure the chairs are far enough apart. I personally think that now that students are comfortable with Zoom, they can be online. There are probably some that are going to say, I don't really need to go in person. So I think we will have quite a few hybrid because students are comfortable. And then the flip side, we'll have students who are like, I need to see people. Yes, I'm back
I need to get out of this house.
Right, exactly.
Or I want to see my professor's face when I ask him this question or something along those lines.
And I think staff come back. We're supposed to report back June 1st. So I think the campus will be busy, but I think that will also look different. We'll have offices that in the past would have 6 people. You can have 4 people and 2 people working from home. So I think the new normal will look different, but will be normal.
It's going to have shades of what we've been living through the last year with a little bit of what we had before kind of mixed in all together.
Exactly. We know what we can accomplish virtually, so there'll be a mix of the two.
So how has this been for you? I mean, I've been talking to a lot of small businesses, a lot of nonprofits, and across the spectrum, what have they learned and how grateful are they from some of the skills and the things they've picked up because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think that personally, like for my position, I can do a lot of purchasing. I do procurement, so I can do that from home. But then the other side is construction. So I physically have to be at the Leroy campus when we're building a building, or at the Fauquier campus when we're building a building. But knowing that there are things that I can do from home, particularly with kids at home, with the virtual learning, it's an adjustment. The first clinic that we had was the first time I had been around people in a year. And it was socially exhausting. At the end of the day, I was tapped out. And so I think when employees come back, I think that might be a side effect that we're not prepared for, is suddenly being around a lot of people. It'll be nice to see folks, but I think we will also be like, whoo, boy, that was a lot of talking today.
Now, will you leave some things in place that you put in place because of COVID, just because they make sense, regardless of whether there's a pandemic?
Yes, I think so. I think that we will continue. I think we'll have a higher awareness of things like the HVAC system running, constant fresh air returns, cleaning. Obviously, we have always had an outside contractor clean. We've had internal people clean, but perhaps more keen awareness of all the areas people touch. Also, perhaps keeping things in stock more than we would have in the past. Before it was like, oh, we're out of wipes. Let's get some ordered. And now, we have a pallet down at the shop, and we probably won't let that get too low anymore. So I think that we'll probably all, as a society, make some adjustments. But I think for us here on campus, it'll be an awareness of appreciation of being together and working together and seeing people and being here for our students. But if we learned anything, I think it's that we can quickly adjust, that we have the abilities and the manpower to do what we need to do to get our students and our staff what they need and keep things operating.
So Luray Page Center opened
Yes.
in the middle of this pandemic.
Yes.
What was that like, trying to coordinate all of that when you couldn't leave your house?
Yeah, that was fun, actually. I think that was great because, honestly, some of the burden had been lifted because classes started January 4th. Workforce started classes January 4th. Normally, when a building opens, there is such a hard deadline. So everything has to be ready. Furniture is always late. And so this time it was like, the furniture's late. And the contractors kept moving. Construction wasn't impacted other than brick. We had a delay in brick. So, I mean, if there's a blessing to COVID, it's that there was really, they could keep going. I could go to campus once a week. I could go to Luray once a week, and nobody else was there. So I felt safe going. And then we didn't have the pressure to get the building open on a hard deadline because there weren't classes other than workforce. We got their room ready, and we're still working on some of the other rooms. So it was kind of nice.
I tell everybody that as terrible as COVID has been, as rough as the pandemic has been on everybody, there are silver linings. There are pieces of it that you can find that if you take with you and learn them as lessons, this isn't going to look so bad in 15 years when we look back on it and think, how did we ever do it the other way before?
Exactly. Yeah, I think being able to work remotely, people doing things that maybe they never had to do before just because we needed to offer support. We certainly had folks, our police, our buildings and grounds folks, shipping and receiving, they were on campus every day. So they, sort of had to pick up some other things, while faculty are like, hey, can you go find me this book in my office? Or, they were having to keep an eye on buildings that normally are occupied, 15 hours a day. Suddenly there might be nobody in the building for a day. So I think everybody picked up some additional duties and maybe got a better understanding of what their other coworkers are doing.
What actually is going on
Yes,
in all of the
exactly.
little corners of a particular office or building or campus in this case. Mm-hmm. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Whitney Miller. I think Brandy is going to join us as well. So hang in there. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. We have pre-recorded on a Wednesday morning at Lord Fairfax Community College because I have gotten my second dose of Moderna. So excited. The staff here, the students here, Rotz Pharmacy here, everybody here was amazing. We are chatting with Whitney Miller. She is the Director of Facility Planning and Auxiliary Services for Lord Fairfax Community College. And Whitney, I know you've got to scoot and Brandy's going to come in and we're going to talk about a couple of other things. But I just want to tell you how impressed I am with this is my second visit here for my second dose. Everything has run so smoothly. Everybody has been so nice. I could not tell from what you were telling me in the first segment who was a student, who was a volunteer, who was an employee, because everybody was just friendly.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. Obviously, the nursing students, we couldn't have done it without them. They've been here to give the vaccines, check people in. But we've also had so many employees volunteer their Fridays, their Friday afternoons, to come make sure that it runs smoothly and that there's a good representation of the college. We, of course, love Lord Fairfax, and we want everybody to know that. And so it's great to be here. Most of the time we have our LFCC gear, our masks. While people are waiting, we're talking about the college. People are curious. We have stuff on the screens. We have pamphlets. So yeah, we're really appreciative for the employees. We've also had community volunteers from Rotaries, Ruritans, Lions Club. We've reached out to some local community groups and they volunteered. So just very appreciative of our employees and the time that they've given to make sure that these are smooth and successful.
I don't think people from the outside looking in, even those that come through any of the clinics, realize what had to happen underground, behind the scenes, and all around us in order for it to look and feel as smoothly as it did when I danced in here today and they stuck a shot in my arm.
Right, and now it's kind of old hat, and we've been fortunate that as employees, once they volunteer once, they almost always sign up for a second spot because they really enjoy it. And the community has been extremely thankful, positive, and we really tried to keep things running as smoothly as possible so that when people get here, they have a good experience, because getting a vaccine can be scary, but also that they leave Lord Fairfax thinking, oh, that was so nice. Everybody was great. Campus was beautiful. We want to, because we never know, they might be back for class. So we want to leave a good impression.
Well, Whitney, I know you've got to scoot and go take care of something. So thank you for taking some time to have this conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming to campus.
So, Brandy, Whitney brings up a really interesting point, because a lot of people may have set foot on this campus for the first time in years for a totally different reason than because they were coming to class. This is going to be a huge, I think, boon for you guys.
I think so too, and we're just so appreciative to Whitney and all of the work she's done to make this possible by rounding up the troops and everyone that came on board, because like you said, you don't always have the opportunity just to pull in our parking lot and walk through the front door. And that, honestly, for years I've told prospective students, that's the hardest step, is to walk through the door, because you don't know what you're walking into. Who's going to be standing at the front desk? Am I going to be welcomed? If I'm a non-traditional student in my 40s, are they going to look at me like I'm crazy? And the answer to all this is absolutely not, right? We're very welcoming and friendly, and our newly renovated Fairfax Hall is very impressive. So I was so excited to hear that we were going to be offering these for that exact reason. It gives the opportunity for foot traffic just to walk through our door and meet our amazing staff, Whitney being one of those, and our friendly faces and our helpful. And that's the same experience you experienced at Shenandoah University. That's where I had the opportunity to get my vaccine as well. And it was the same feeling, a reason to walk through that new facility and meet the helpful staff. And so it's just fantastic to see higher ed institutions step up for this opportunity and provide those opportunities to step in our doors.
Well, and it's interesting because I'm guessing a lot of these nursing students that have been working these clinics these last several months probably are going to be graduating. And this is quite an experience for them to put on their resume.
Yes, absolutely. This is an amazing experience for them. And surviving nursing school during a pandemic, I can't even relate. But I have a feeling it's setting them up for a lot of success in their profession. And speaking of commencement, tonight in Warrenton, our nursing students and our entire graduating class of 2021 will be walking across the stage. And tomorrow, on Friday, our Middletown students will be walking across the stage and graduating. So we're very excited about that opportunity.
And you guys are doing like this drive-through, this really cool, funky commencement.
I call it the Chick-fil-A commencement, but it's the diploma walk. So what we wanted to do, not knowing, where we would be at today, a few months ago when plans had to be made for commencement, we wanted to definitely provide an in-person experience, but that was also safe and social distanced, because again, we could not predict what the governor's orders would say at this time. And
I don't think that has been publicized enough either, because, as I was telling Whitney, sometimes we don't realize all of the things that happen behind the scenes. Regular people don't realize that you don't put together a commencement ceremony in 24 hours. It's something you have to plan months and months in advance. And because of the pandemic, you got to plan it based on what you know when you're planning it, not what might be when it actually happens.
Absolutely. If we could only predict the future. So yeah, a few months ago, we waited as long long as possible to make the decision. And we waited to the final hour, and we knew we wanted to do something in person. President Blosser was very adamant about that. She wanted to have an in-person experience, but we also obviously needed to follow whatever orders were going to be in place. So we have two parts. One, we do have the full commencement is virtual and will be posted online Saturday at 1 p.m. And it also will stay on the website for at least a year, so you can go back and watch it anytime. So it's not as if you have to sit down at 1 p.m. and watch it on Saturday, but if you'd like to plan something with your family, and that will include your commencement speaker, the president's welcome,
the whole thing,
the national anthem, the outstanding grad award, that will all be in that video, as well as scrolling names for every single graduate. So what is happening tonight and tomorrow, or this evening and tomorrow at our campuses, is the drive-through model where students have RSVP'd, our graduates have RSVP'd, and they can bring up to 2 cars each. And the idea is that the front car is where the graduate sits in the passenger seat, and they drive into our parking lot. They check in a welcome tent where they make sure they have their card with them, that they're wearing their honors cord if they have one of those, that they're sitting in the appropriate seat in the car, and then they're directed down the path to the front of the building where the graduate alone will be asked to get out of the car. Everyone else stays in the cars and drives to the front of the stage and parks while their graduate walks up on stage, has their name called, gets their diploma, walks back down, gets back in the car. And so we've set up a very efficient process that we're going to follow to keep it rolling. So hopefully that's why I'm jokingly or seriously calling it the Chick-fil-A model, because every time I go through that drive-through, I'm just, they got this down pat, man. No
matter how long the line looks, it goes quick.
They keep you moving. So that's the idea, for it to be celebratory and welcoming, but yet efficient and moving you through. And then families, after their graduate's done, they'll have the opportunity to go to selected areas on another area of the parking lot and have photos taken together. So we'll have a staff member there to take their iPhone and to take photos of them with their graduate. So we're still trying to recreate that same experience, even though it's not the same. We're trying to at least make the celebratory part of it as similar to the real thing.
Hey, as a mom, as long as I get to watch my kid walk across that stage, whether there's somebody standing next to him, behind him, in front of him, or whatever, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
As a mom, I think you're doing a great job just providing that part of this experience.
Yeah, and that's what, Dr. Blosser said the exact same thing. As a mom of a recent grad, she knows how important that is to see that, and so we really just wanted to provide that opportunity, and we're looking forward to doing that tonight and tomorrow.
So let's skip ahead to fall. Are classes can you register now? What's the current status moving forward with classes?
So the most important thing to point out right now is that summer classes begin in a little over a week, so May 23rd. However, there's classes that start that day and then classes that start a few weeks later. So we have, the full summer classes and then ones that start halfway through. So registration is open right now. I'd like to encourage those that are listening to this to consider taking on some summer classes. Maybe you've never attended LFCC, but you've thought about, should I get a degree? So come get a class or two and test it out this summer, test the waters. Or if you're going to a 4-year college this fall, maybe this summer is a great time to get some prereqs out of the way, save a little bit of money. And so there's a lot of great reasons to start a class in the summer. We do still have most of our classes online this summer, so we have not fully gone back to normal, which we never will. I don't think any of us will.
I think the new normal, as much as I hate that phrase, is pretty much what we're going to be living with.
So the fall, though, we're so excited to be able to welcome students back in person this fall. And those classes start towards the end of August, and we are registering for those now. So right now is the time to register for those classes. And if you come in to talk about summer, you can take care of it all at once. You could sign up for summer and fall classes and, go ahead and know what the next few months are going to look like for you. So we're very excited to have in-person options this fall. So we know there's so many students that is just what's better, for your type of learning and what you desire and, the social interaction, to say at the bare minimum. But there's also some, like Whitney said, that will want to stay online, and so that's going to also be an option.
Well, and I think, the thing that we have learned through the pandemic is how much some of our lives have changed. Jobs have changed. We've lost jobs. We've changed jobs. There are all of these different circumstances that may be different than they were a year ago, even 2 years ago, where community college checks that box that a 4-year college maybe can't at this stage of their life. And there's so many options to plug in a community college class or classes or a degree without having to go on to that 4-year right out of the box now.
Absolutely, and there's a new program called G3 that I would love to have someone come back and talk to you more about, but it is basically starting July 1st, but you can enroll now, and it's a governor's initiative that basically provides tuition costs and other additional fees for students in in-demand programs, and there's a large list. But what the idea is they're in-demand careers that are stackable. So just like you said, if someone's not sure, or they're just where to start, they've been out of school for a while, maybe they never went, and they're not ready to do the full-blown 4-year or even a 2-year. So the idea is there's been these stackable degrees where you could start with a workforce credential, and that would be skills to get you a job. Then you could keep going and get that certificate, and that would give you more skills to maybe get a raise in that job or get something higher. And then there's a third level that's that associate's degree. So it's these degrees that build on one another. And we're very excited about it. Again, it's called G3, and it's basically giving you, it will cover the cost. So students have to apply for financial aid first, and this money will cover anything that Pell that doesn't cover.
Off, yeah.
And what's also important about G3 is financial aid tends to help those towards the bottom rung of financial need. The bottom to slightly middle, right? But there's often this middle class, which I fell in when I went to college years ago, where I didn't qualify for a dime of financial aid. Me and my parents and I, we were not rolling in dough, but we lived on a farm, so our assets showed that we were worth more than what the financial aid was able to be eligible. So there's this middle class that a lot of them fall in that, right? But it's still not enough to cover college or take on this extra burden. So that's what G3 was designed for, was basically to help this middle class group. So if you qualified for some financial aid, that's great, or even none, this will take on and cover that for you. So it's very exciting. It's a lot of, some people have tagged it as the free college movement. It's not necessarily that. Obviously there's criteria and things you have to meet, and it's only for certain programs, but it is a big list, and so we encourage everybody to just inquire about it, and that can be done at lfcc.edu/G3.
And then all of this stuff about registration for summer, for fall, details about commencement, all of that is on your website as well.
Absolutely. lfcc.edu. You can get to everything from there. Of course, /commencement will get you to the commencement page. /enroll will get you to our enrollment information.
Awesome. Well, Brandy, thank you for spending my 15-minute after shot talking with me for a radio show.
And she hasn't passed out yet.
I
She's
haven't.
still going strong.
Yes, and I crammed everything into the rest of the afternoon thinking tomorrow is when it was going to hit me. So all of my shows have now been recorded for the rest of the week, and I am good to go.
Wow. I hope you have a fantastic week.
I will be back. You will get to hear me tomorrow. I am chatting with Perry Matthews about the Heritage Plant Sale at the Museum of the Shenandoah Valley. It is happening next weekend, and you can get in for a preview if you're a member of the MSV. So he gives us all the details for that tomorrow, a few minutes after noon. Meet me back here then.